So this looks like the type of place that the Albanian communists used to keep prisoners. Very eerie, black walls, definitely somewhere that would drive you mad. This looks like something from a horror movie, this right here. Looks like a place you keep insane people, which ironically, it was the people who were sane that were fighting against Albanian communism. Nearly 6,000 individuals who were executed for their political views. It has been said by a political figure that revolution comes out of the barrel of a gun. And certainly you find sometimes you can't just get along. People gotta get bodied. Look at this. Like, these were the cuffs, the restraints that went around your wrists. I mean, that is brutal, and this is clearly not a smooth edge. Looks like they didn't have human rights standards for their prisoners. This is someone's home, and you see just a small hole in the wall, which in an Albanian home during this time is not unusual. And on the other side is this recording equipment to spy and bug record audio and visual. No, I really do respect the fact that they tried to keep purity in the ideology. You know, they said that their border is a checkpoint against foreign ideology, enemies, hippie tourists. In many ways, the hippies overcame American culture, which is why we're so victim of drugs, alcohol, and being idle. A lot of dead ends. Great place to torture, though. If you need to torture somebody, I mean, this is the spot. All the sound is blocked. This is where they would bring the enemies of the regime to record their confessions. Every regime has enemies. It's actually still musty in here from 100 years ago. I don't know if they were letting people shower on a regular basis, but it smells like soldiers, shall we say. These are nice, simple barracks. We're starting bunk one in the mountains. And you immediately get the feeling of a horror movie as you come through. So this was started in 72, completed about 78. The idea came from the North Koreans. I would not want this door closing behind me. This is the kind of place that if there were any mechanical malfunctions with any of the doors, they're so reinforced as this is a bunker that you'll be here forever. This was designed for government to operate during times of war. So once you get in the 9 entry doors, it's actually reasonably comfortable in as much as you have high ceilings. This is one of 3 places that have carpet. This one, the Prime Minister room, and the Chief of Staff. So definitely that strong military feeling. Everything's in gray or brown or green. The Italians actually invaded Albania under Mussolini. The Albanian youth doing the fascist salute, which most people wrongly associate this fascist salute with Hitler. It's actually originated by Benito Mussolini. And the unfortunate thing is, being that war is a way of life for the wicked, the righteous must also too be masters of war, lest they be overcome. Quite interesting. Some of you may not know that the reason the Germans look so sharp is that Hugo Boss actually designed a great many outfits or uniforms, if you will, for the Germans. So the Germans occupied as well and took a bit of a different approach to dominating the country. When the Italians were an invading force, they required the Albanians to declare war on every nation that the Italians were at war with. Conversely, when the Germans took over, they had a more of a relaxed approach, shall we say. This is an SS uniform, obviously of the Nazis, and that is a version of the armband that has really become famous. And again, I remind you that such armbands are commonly used in militaries around the world historically and presently, but the Nazis have perhaps become the most famous for it. I'd be curious as if this tattering on the uniform is a result of time or military engagement. You see it on the pants as well. Somehow it still looks reasonably stylish. This is an example of the border of the entire country that the communists put up. Most borders are to keep people out, but this border was to keep people in mostly, which is typical of communist regimes. They do such a poor job at creating quality of life that people want to flee. And this was designed so that they could detect where you tried to cross the border, and soldiers were permitted to shoot you on sight. Here we actually can see today in modern Tirana. We stay at a hotel that is maybe about a 2-minute walk from this monument. As you'll see in the United States today, with the changing of the educational system, teaching LGBTQ history, things of this nature, with the communists, those who were seeking to destroy religion, faith, and break down gender roles, they started with a program from 1948 all the way through 69 to reform the educational system. And they were teaching Marxism, history of the party, and all of these non-essential subjects that were more so ideological and used to basically raise up the young people into the way of communist thinking. So it has carpet. It's one of 3 rooms that did have carpet. And it's a couple centimeters smaller than Enver's room. And this one feels nicer to me. Obviously, it has all the tools for the secretary, which is stationed here, calling and typing. Wow, that is a real artifact, isn't it? These are all standard accommodations for an officer operating within this bunker. The Albanians were unique in that they had chemical weapons, and they also had a large store of weapons that were initially provided by the Soviets, that is the Russians, and then later on provided by the Chinese. And they were importing these weapons illegally against international law and storing them. And we're talking about billions of dollars of weapons, and eventually they started selling these on black markets. I don't want to say they as in the government, but individuals started selling these weapons. And so curiously, the dictator Enver, and I don't even want to try to pronounce his last name presently, but he was obsessed with the idea that he might be attacked by the communist revisionists of the Soviet Union or the Anglo-American imperialists. And so he trained his population and of course the military for chemical attacks and otherwise, which is why they have bunkers such as these. Now, the curious thing is with a population of around 3 million, it's like you don't stand a chance against the might of the United States or the military experience of the United Kingdom or the size of the Soviet Union. So why he even wasted resources to do such a thing is strange. I don't know if he was really trying to actually protect from domestic uprising, but regardless, I guess we'll never know. Goodbye, haters. Gas attack. Mustard gas, to be exact. entertained even while in a bunker. This was the theater